I've liked Snoopy and the other Charlie Brown characters since I was a little kid. When I was really little, I used to like Snoopy Come Home. When I got older, I got this Peanuts Treasury. And A Charlie Brown Christmas is still one of my favorite Christmas movies. Today's video is going to be a bit like a personality test. So what we're doing today is a little sort of character sketch thing with the different Peanuts characters. I decided to narrow it down to just 12 characters. We're going to check out some of the different character traits these characters have, and hopefully by the end, you'll be able to identify which one or which ones you think are most like you. The first character we're going to be looking at is Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is depressed, sensitive, self-doubting.
I'm doomed. 3 guests for Thanksgiving and I'm not even going to be home. Peppermint Patty will hate me for the rest of my life.
And interestingly, he does actually stand up to injustice. If there's something he strongly believes to be wrong, he will stand up for what he thinks is right.
Linus is right. I won't let all this commercialism ruin my Christmas. I'll take this little tree home and decorate it, and I'll show him it really will work in our play.
The second character we're going to be looking at is Snoopy. Of course, he is Charlie Brown's dog. The words I used to describe Snoopy were self-centered, independent, imaginative, entitled, enthusiastic, and lazy. Snoopy is a very self-centered character. Looking through them, a lot of these characters are kind of self-centered. I don't know if that's just because they're kids or because people in general are pretty self-centered, but Snoopy isn't your average dog. He's very independent. He's doing his own thing, regardless of Charlie Brown or anyone else, basically. He's very imaginative, especially when he's pretending to be a flying ace. He's very entitled. He totally thinks he deserves everything, which I think also goes along with him being pretty lazy. He just sort of expects to be taken care of and lays in his doghouse all day. I don't know how he balances, but he does. He's also can be pretty enthusiastic. I mean, for Christmas, he totally decorated his house up to try to win that contest. In Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, he's dressed up as a pilgrim. He totally gets into whatever he's doing. He's wholehearted in whatever he does. I'm gonna add that to my list because I didn't think of it till just now. A synonym for wholehearted is enthusiastic, so I basically already got that down. The next character we're gonna be looking at is Woodstock, Snoopy's sidekick. So, Woodstock is basically Snoopy's best friend, and the character traits I have for Woodstock are happy, unique, because, I mean, Snoopy is unique too. He's not at all your average dog, but Woodstock definitely does things his own way. He like flying upside down. He's also a good friend. He sticks by Snoopy even when Snoopy's not always super nice to him. Snoopy isn't always super nice, so Woodstock does get a little feisty at times. But even when he gets mad, he gets over it pretty quickly. The next character we're going to be looking at is Charlie Brown's little sister, Sally. The words I used to describe Sally are self-centered, romantic.
She's going to be your wife. Good grief. Isn't he the cutest thing?
Easily offended, and she is very entitled like Snoopy.
Anyway, why should I give thanks on Thanksgiving? What have I got to be thankful for?
All I want is what I have coming to me. All I want is my fair share.
She's also easily offended even when someone probably didn't mean to make her mad, and she looks up to her big brother Charlie Brown. The next character on my list is Linus van Pelt. I came up with a lot of words to describe Lucy, and I was surprised some of them could be positive things. She's not a kind character, but it's interesting that she did have some positive characteristics, and it's interesting that her characteristics sort of make sense in the way she interacts with Charlie Brown and her little brother Linus. So Lucy is honest, but she's not tactful. She is very candid. She says what she thinks, but she doesn't have any consideration for what other people might be thinking or feeling. She's very domineering. She's bossy, she's taking over, she's telling everyone what to do.
No. Listen, all of you. You've got to take direction. You've got to have discipline. You've got to have respect for your director.
She's rude and mean. She's practical about things. She's angry. She's also independent. She's pretty self-centered, which is probably why people don't really like her. I mean, not in real... I don't know if people like her like in real life or not, but I'm talking about in the comics, other characters she's not really good friends with. I feel like she's sort of like frenemies with Patty and Violet, but we're not going to be talking about them in this video. Another thing that was interesting about Lucy is that she does stand for what she believes in, which reminds me of Charlie Brown standing up to injustice. Charlie Brown might have a hard time standing up for something that just he personally, like his opinion, but if it has to do with right and wrong, he will stand up for that. But Lucy will stand up for what she thinks is right and wrong and her opinion. So I thought that was interesting how they're a little bit alike in that way. I thought it was interesting how their parts of their personality affect how they both react. The next character we're going to be looking at is Linus, Lucy's little sister and Charlie Brown's best friend. I came up with quite a few words to describe Linus as well. He's hopeful. He's not as depressed as Charlie Brown. He can help Charlie Brown feel less depressed. Linus does get worried about things at times, but it doesn't overcome him and make him depressed like Charlie Brown. I think Linus's characteristic of hopefulness is stronger than his occasional worriedness. But then again, he does suck his thumb and carry around his blanket for security, so Linus is hopeful, he's thoughtful.
I never thought it was such a bad little tree. It's not bad at all, really. Maybe it just needs a little love.
He's thinking of others. He's a pretty peaceful person, which is where it clashes with Lucy because she's kind of a violent person.
I'll give you 5 good reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was interesting how they interact and react to each other because he is peaceful and she is just sort of angry and violent.
I ought to slug you.
Linus is also religious and philosophical.
And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord.
Thinks about things and studies things a lot. Character number 7 is Schroeder. Now, Schroeder is very diligent and hardworking, especially at piano. It doesn't seem like he talks a whole lot, even when he's playing as the catcher for their baseball team. Like I said, he plays piano a lot. Beethoven is his hero. He seems to be pretty unaware of the fact that other people might not like or know as much about Beethoven as he does. Schroeder is definitely unromantic.
I mean jingle bells. You know, Santa Claus and ho ho ho, and mistletoe and presents to pretty girls.
Next character I'm going to be looking at is Franklin. Franklin is just chill. He's calm, and he's nice, and he's friendly. I think even when he says what he thinks, he does it in a calm way.
Would you like to buy a Christmas wreath?
Do you know what you are doing? Don't you realize you're adding to the over-commercializing of Christmas?
Of all the characters, I feel like he's just so unproblematic. Like, Lucy's angry, Charlie Brown's depressed, Linus is overthinking everything, Sally is whining about everything, Schroeder is obsessed with Beethoven. Next character I'm going to be looking at is Peppermint Patty. Now, Peppermint Patty it's pretty obvious she's a tomboy. I feel like that's a characteristic that most people would probably think of when they thought of her. But I also think that she is self-assured. She's not too worried about what people think for the most part. She is sort of self-centered and interfering, which is a synonym for domineering or bossy, but I feel like Peppermint Patty is domineering in a less angry, hateful sort of way than Lucy. Peppermint Patty just sort of seems unaware that anyone else has anything to say.
You can't explain anything to Peppermint Patty because you never get to say anything.
And Lucy just ignores them out of meanness. Peppermint Patty also dislikes reading in school, loves baseball, and is unconscious of the fact that Snoopy is a dog. If the lighting and camera changed, it's because I left the house and then came back. Anyways, our next character is Marcie. Marcie is smart, loyal, and a good friend.
I'd like to read this book, Marcie, but I'm kind of afraid. I had a grandfather who didn't think much of reading. He always said if you read too many books, your head would fall off.
You start the first chapter, sir, and I'll hold on to your head.
One thing I was just thinking about Marcie is that although Marcie is smart, a lot smarter than Peppermint Patty, she isn't boast about it, she isn't bragging about it. She's pretty humble in that she's smart and she doesn't try to make other people feel stupid. Marcie is also honest.
Now wait a minute, sir. Did he invite you here to dinner, or did you invite yourself and us too?
Gee, I never thought of it like that. Do you think I hurt old Chuck's feelings?
The next character we're going to be talking about is Frieda. Frieda is very vain of her naturally curly hair.
Frieda,
We can't go on. There's too much dust. It's taking the curl out of my naturally curly hair.
Frieda also has a cat. Frieda is also pretty naive. Frieda is also interfering, like Peppermint Patty and Lucy. I think Sally comes across as less interfering, partially because she's younger and people don't take her as seriously as, say, Lucy. Lucy is certainly a force to be reckoned with. Another thing about Frieda is she really wants Snoopy to get out there and chase rabbits, and Snoopy would really rather just chill on his doghouse, sleeping all day. But Frieda doesn't get that. She also doesn't seem to care if Charlie Brown thinks his dog should chase rabbits or not. So I do think that's pretty interfering. The last character we're going to be talking about is Pigpen. And I actually came up with some pretty good character traits for him. He doesn't seem like a hugely important character with a lot of stuff going on, but he does. Pigpen is obviously dirty, but he's also self-confident, calm, at ease, and comfortable with who he is.
Sort of makes you want to treat me with more respect, doesn't it?
You're an absolute mess. Just look at yourself.
On the contrary, I didn't think I looked that good.
Those really aren't some bad character qualities. Like, if you're at ease with other people, just the way you are, I'm not saying that you should walk around with clouds of dust around you, but it's pretty cool that Pigpen is self-confident and comfortable with who he is, and Charlie Brown, who's like more normal, is all stressed out all the time. It's just pretty cool that Pigpen is just fine with who he is, and he doesn't really care what other people think of him, and I think that's really cool. Pigpen is an underrated character. Anyways, those are some of the characteristics that I thought were pretty prominent in 12 of the main characters from the Peanuts comics. Figuring out which characteristics each character had was actually pretty fun. Also, make sure to comment down below which Charlie Brown character you think you're most like, or which ones you think you're most like. That's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. I still don't know which one I am.